Hello again, welcome to another video. Now in this video I'm going to be reviewing the Gopro Hero 5 Black, and I'm going to be seeing whether or not it actually makes sense now with it being a Hero 6 and a Hero 7 that's out now. Okay, let's kick things off with specifications of the camera. Now it can do 4K at 30 FPS, it can do 2.7K at up to 60 FPS, it can do 1080p up to 120 FPS. It can do other resolutions at even faster frame rates, but really I feel like the image quality trade-off at them lower resolutions isn't really worth the extra frame rate really. So really it's 4K, 2.7K and 1080p are where you're going to get the majority of your use out of the camera. Now, and most of these resolutions do support image stabilization, but not at 4K 30 FPS or 60 FPS, which is a real shame to be honest, which is probably one of the reasons why you may want to look at the Hero 7 if you want image stabilization at 4K 30 FPS. Now, something I do like about the GoPro Hero 5 Black is that it's actually waterproof and weatherproof straight out of the box. You don't need an external housing for it, which is really good because really the housing is for if you need to go very deep underwater. So for most people, which they're not going to, this is ready to go without an housing. Now, this is my first GoPro, so I didn't really know what to expect in terms of the little touchscreen. Now, I'm normally terrible with tiny touchscreens. My hands are probably slightly larger than average, but this has been quite good actually. The menus feel very easy to go about. I think very rarely you kind of fumble and miss a menu and that, but other than that, it's very responsive. Now, if for whatever reason you absolutely hate the whole touchscreen thing, as a touchscreen this small really does bother you, you can use your smartphone to basically do everything that the touchscreen can do. You can change resolution, you can change image quality, you can change the camera mode, and you can even trigger it to start recording, which is really good if you've got the GoPro somewhere that you can't exactly get to. Now, I've mostly found the app to be pretty reliable. It's rarely ever gone wrong for me. I think any time it has gone wrong, it's been more because of my phone than the actual app itself, so overall the app is very good. Now, onto image quality, I think I shoot in mainly 4K or 1080p depending on whether or not I need slow down footage or just depending on the application. Now, I find both 4K and 1080p to be really good resolutions. The images quality is sharp, and to be honest, I'm actually quite surprised you can get an image quality this good out of something this tiny. Now, onto durability. Now, I found out somewhat the hard way that this thing is actually very durable. One day I had it on the back of my car with the suction cup mount and it actually fell off. Now, it's probably very hard to see and I'll probably have to stick a little bit of the footage in. It fell off and the only nick was a little nick to the housing here, the lens cover basically, and well, there's just a nick on it. The lens cover is still intact. This can be removed if for whatever reason it gets too dinged up or scratched. But that's it. Everything else about it still works perfectly fine, so in terms of ruggedness, it's fantastic. Now, one complaint I do find with the GoPro is that it seems to chew through memory cards to no end. I have a 32 gig card in here at the moment, and I think that's good for about 1 hour at 4K, which is okay, I guess, for 4K shooting, but it still feels like I can only do a couple of trips out in the car, which is mainly what I use it for, and then that's a memory card full up. Now, onto the battery life. Battery life is what I would call okay. I haven't used other GoPros, so I don't know if it's better than what it used to or it's worse, but I think this will do about probably 2 hours of recording before it's flat. But to be honest, half the time I'm out in the car anyway, so I can just stick it on a USB port and charge it. So it's not a terrible thing, but if you're out and about, you probably want to get more batteries for this. The GoPro also has voice commands in it. You can do relatively basic things. You can tell it to turn off, you can tell it to start recording, you can tell it to stop recording. I find this very useful because sometimes I'll have it on the car, on the other side of the car, where it's not really easy for me to access the button to start recording. So it's quite easy just to say GoPro start recording, GoPro stop recording when I need to. I find it very useful and it seems to pick up my voice very easily. I think it's never really kind of ignored me. So from that, it's quite good. Now, I think the main question with this now, these days, is does it actually make sense to get one of these? I got this just before the Hero 7 was announced, so I'm a little bit annoyed that I got this before, but I think if you find one of these used for, well, significantly less than what you can get a GoPro Hero 7 for, which is about £380. So if you can get it for way less than that, I'd say this still is a solid camera. The 4K image quality is fantastic. I think, at least for what I do, having the lack of image stabilization isn't the end of the world, because it's usually hard mounted. But I think, other than that, it's a perfect action camera really. It's rugged, battery life is fine. I think one final complaint about it is audio quality. I think the audio quality could be better, but then again, what I'm doing is probably a worst case scenario for basically expecting good audio. I think because I mount it on the car a lot, so obviously it's getting a lot of wind noise on it, and I find that the wind is just overpowering a lot of times. But I did end up fixing this with something called a wind slayer. It's basically just a bit of foam that goes around the whole camera, and that seems to fix it. It's really useful, I find, especially on cars or motorbikes and whatnot. Now, another slight complaint on the audio front is if you want to plug in an external mic to it, you have to buy a separate adapter. I think it's about £50, but it's very bulky because it's not just like a cable that goes off into like a 3.5mm jack. It's a whole block thing that adds about that much onto the camera, and it just kind of dangles. So if you're in a situation where you don't really want wires trailing over it, it's actually quite annoying. But for the most of the time, I'm not using the audio off the camera anyway as a main source of audio, so that's not the end of the world. But I know for a lot of people, they want to have their audio straight into this, so I think that could be quite annoying. Okay, that's going to do it for my review of the GoPro Hero 5 Black. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you're subscribed. I do more gear reviews in the future, so make sure you stick around. Bye.